In the summer of 1976, the most talked about player in baseball didn't have a card. Mark Fidrych, 21-year-old, talked to the baseball, groomed the mound with his hands. Tiger Stadium packed out every time he pitched. Rookie of the Year, All-Star starter, and Topps missed him entirely. 660 cards trying to capture a year, and the year's biggest story isn't in there. Here's what is. So before we get into the cards, let's talk about the baseball world surrounding those cards. On December 23, 1975, an arbitrator, Peter Seitz, issued a ruling. Two pitchers, Andy Messersmith of the Dodgers and Dave McNally of the Expos, had played the 75 season entirely without signed contracts. Seitz ruled they were free agents. The reserve clause, the legal mechanism that bound players to their teams essentially forever, since the dawn of baseball, had just been struck down. The owners immediately fired Seitz. They appealed the ruling in federal court. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn called the decision inconceivable. A spring training lockout followed. By March of 1976, the courts had affirmed the ruling. The owners declined to appeal further. Topps now had already finished printing most of the set before any of that happened. The photographs had been taken, the stats had been typeset, the color bars had been matched to the uniforms. 660 faces fixed in ink. The world on those cards was still the old world, players in their uniforms, on their teams, under the old rules. The set opens with Hammer and Hank Aaron, not his regular card, a record breaker card. One of 6 at the front of the set documenting records broken the season before. Aaron breaking the career RBI record in 1975. Card number 1 for the 4th consecutive year. His regular card is number 550, Milwaukee Brewers uniform. He was 42 years old. He had come back to Milwaukee, the city where his professional career had started, for the final 2 seasons of his 23-year career. The designated hitter rule, adopted 3 years earlier, had made it possible for him to keep playing. On July 20th, 1976, he hit his 755th home run at County Stadium. A crowd of about 10,000 watched it. Nobody in the park knew at the time it would be his last. He had 64 more at-bats after that, and he never went deep again. His final game was October 3rd. He grounded out twice, then singled in the 6th inning. They sent out a pinch runner immediately. Card 550 is his last Topps card as an active player. His photograph would appear one more time, in the background of the 1977 Milwaukee Brewers team card. And we know Topps loves their subsets, and 1976 was no different. The first 6 cards in the set are record breakers: Aaron, Bobby Bonds, Mickey Lolich, Davey Lopes, Tom Seaver, Rennie Stennett, moments from the season before, preserved before anyone had moved on. Now cards 66 through 70 are the father and son series. 5 current major leaguers whose fathers also played in the big leagues. The design splits the card. On the right, the son in a current color photograph with his team and position. On the left, a reproduction of his father's vintage Topps card. 2 generations of baseball, side by side on a piece of cardboard, roughly the size of a playing card. Cards 341 through 350 are the all-time All-Stars, a sporting news selection. Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, and Ted Williams, players whose careers ended decades before anyone in the 1976 set were born. Sitting in the same cardboard, the same design, the same color bars, the same gray card back. Card 98. Dennis Eckersley, Cleveland Indians. He had turned 21 the previous October. Long hair, the easy posture of someone early in a season he doesn't know the shape of yet. He was a starter in 1976. He would throw a no-hitter for Cleveland the following year. Then be traded to Boston, then Chicago, then Oakland, where a manager named Tony La Russa converted him to a closer in 1987. He was the 1992 Cy Young winner, the 1992 MVP, and a career save mark of 390. But none of that is there. It's a kid in Cleveland in a sharp photograph. Look at the lower left corner of the card, a small silhouette of a pitcher in follow-through motion, right-handed, because Eckersley was right-handed. Topps adjusted every silhouette for each player. not a symbol, a mirror. The set's other notable rookies tell a similar story. Ron Guidry in card 599, listed on a 4-player rookie pitcher's card, buried at the back of the set. In 1976, he barely got off the Yankees bench. Billy Martin left him sitting for 47 consecutive games before sending him back to the minors. 2 years later, Guidry went 25-3 with a 1.74 ERA and won the Cy Young Award. The card also has its share of Hall of Famers. George Brett is card number 19, his second year in the set. Nolan Ryan's here, Carlton, Morgan, Bench, Carew. Faces that are still mid-story in 1976. Card 564 is Kurt Bavacqua. He's a journeyman, the kind of player who spent parts of his 11 seasons with 9 different teams. The Indians, the Pirates, the Royals, the Brewers, the Rangers, the Padres, and a few others along the way, usually doing the things that don't clearly show up in a box score every night. In 1975, Topps ran an official bubblegum blowing contest. 22 teams sent a representative. The finals were taped for NBC's pregame World Series coverage. Bavacqua blew an 18-1/4-inch bubble in the championship round. Good for $1,000, a case of bazooka, and a Topps baseball card the following year. The card shows him mid-blow, the bubble fully inflated in front of his face, calipers measuring its size beside it. There is nothing understated about the photograph. Bavacqua does not appear to find this unusual. On the days Mark Fidrych started, Tiger Stadium averaged over 33,000 fans. On the days he didn't, that number dropped to under 14,000. When he started a nationally televised game against the Yankees in June, 48,000 people packed the stadium and chanted his name until he came out for a curtain call. He went 19-9 that year, and he led all of baseball in ERA. But there was no Mark Fidrych card in the 1976 Topps set. Topps photographers had not bothered shooting him in spring training. He was a long shot to make the roster. By the time he became the most talked about player in the game, the set was already printed. Kids that summer were opening packs all year, looking for the card of the bird. It wasn't there. When his card finally appeared in 1977, it carried both the rookie trophy and an all-star designation, the only Topps card of that era to carry both at once. Late in 1976, Topps released a set of 44 traded cards. Players who had changed teams after the main set was already printed. They were inserted randomly into packs towards the end of the production run. Each card carried the player's original number from the base set with a T added. The design modification is simple. It was a torn newspaper graphic across the bottom of the image, Sports Extra. The back continues the newspaper motif, a brief description of the trade printed in the style of a newspaper clipping. Reggie Jackson had been traded from Oakland to Baltimore just 1 week before opening day. He's not in the traded set. No explanation had ever been fully satisfying. His regular card shows him as an Oakland Athletic. His Baltimore card simply never existed in 1976. Willie Randolph appears in the traded set as a Yankee, number 592T, a few months after appearing in the base set as a Pittsburgh Pirate at number 592, the same number, 2 different uniforms. He had played exactly 1 season in Pittsburgh before becoming a cornerstone of the Yankees for the next 13 years. Now, a card that a lot of people remember from the traded set was number 74T, Oscar Gamble, traded from Cleveland to the Yankees. Topps used a photograph from his Cleveland days. The Yankee cap and pinstripes were painted over the original uniform, airbrushed by hand, the way Topps handled a lot of trades throughout the era. What couldn't be airbrushed was his hair. During his time with Cleveland, Gamble had grown what may have been the largest afro in the history of professional baseball. 8 inches at its height, helmets barely fit on his head when he ran the bases. When he arrived in Yankee spring training, there was no uniform waiting for him. George Steinbrenner would not issue one until he got a haircut. The team found a barber willing to work on a Sunday. Steinbrenner later paid Gamble the $5,000 he lost in a product endorsement deal. The card shows him before any of that. The hair is still fully there, the Yankees cap painted on top of it in a way that could not have actually happened, because by the time he was a Yankee, that hair was gone. By November, the re-entry draft had reshuffled the rosters on those 660 cards. The baseball in them already belonged to a different era. Somewhere, though, in those cards, there's still no Mark Fidrych.